What up, people, and welcome to the Push a Wild Black Show, Bearscast for Week 2. I am your host, Christian. Well, the Bears win 24-17. It really wasn't that close, although the Bears tried to make it interesting toward the end. So these are my quick thoughts or first impressions after the game. Side note, how the heck did the Patriots get Josh Gordon for a 5th round pick? And see, what's going to happen is everybody's going to say that the Patriots get better if they get to the playoffs and they win. They get to the playoffs and they win and they get to the Super Bowl. Everybody's going to be like, and if Josh Gordon has an amazing year, then everybody's going to be like, how did this happen? And this is similar to the Boogie Cousins situation in Golden State. Although I'm going to be talking about the NBA at some point before the season starts. Real quick. There are teams that play chess and there are teams that play checkers. The Patriots play chess. Everybody else plays checkers. And in basketball, Golden State plays chess. The Boogie Cousins situation was a benefit for them to only in the playoffs. Boogie's not even going to play like for the majority of the season, and everybody's tripping out when anybody could have picked up the phone and got Boogie Cousins for this upcoming NBA season. And the Patriots got Josh Gordon for a 5th round pick because everyone was thinking that the Browns were just going to outright cut him because they said it. And no one ever takes into the account that, yeah, we're going to float that out there, but we're also going to float the fact that, hey, we'll listen to trade offers before we cut them, though. And the Patriots got him for a 5th round draft pick. And no one else wanted to pick up the phone? Really? But anyway, to the Bears game. All right. So this really isn't going to be a major, I'm not going to spend a long time on this because the defense is going to carry us through the season, just period. The rush was already a top 10. The rush already made a top 10 defense of the Bears last year, and we have a developing secondary. Khalil Mack just made it a top 3 defense. It doesn't necessarily mean the Bears are going to win the division or anything. It just means that we're going to be a top 5, if not a top 3 defense in the league, just because of all the pressure that the Bears are going to put on opposing quarterbacks. The Seahawks didn't really have an offense. Pete Carroll tried to take the pressure off of Russell Wilson and tried to run. It was sort of successful. Everyone was saying you have to open up the offense and let Russell Wilson run around. With the rush that was going on, I'm not risking my QB for the rush that's going on if I don't have to. Russ was already getting pressured the whole game. The Bears have 5 first-half sacks, okay? I get Pete Carroll not really trying to run him around and have him being outside the pocket and stuff. Although it did seem to work when stuff broke down and Russ Wilson was able to, play backyard football. But with that rush, I'm not making a point to just have him out there like that. What I'm going to talk about, and this is going to sound like I'm beating a dead horse here throughout the season, but I'm going to have a very measured reaction to Mr. Trubisky. The idea that Mr. Trubisky is going to do anything but lead, okay, let me gather my thoughts here. If the Bears are doing this correctly, in my opinion, this is going to be a lost season. And let me explain why. If the whole point of this season is to develop Mr. Trubisky and Matt Nagy, because we're developing The Bears are developing basically a coaching staff, and they're developing a quarterback. Two things. So we're going to see if Matt Nagy could actually coach and run an offense. They know what they want to do. Like I said last week, this isn't going to be like the Dow Loggins and John Fox situation where you're literally scared, where Mr. Trubisky is your best option only by default, and you're literally scared to have him do much, and you have Dow Loggins that really doesn't know how to coordinate an offense. This kid's going to get, for the next few years, for the next 4 years, this kid is going to get basically the best offensive minds in football. We hope. So this is a developmental season. Mr. Trubisky threw 2 picks today, and honestly, it should have been 3 of them. And the one that I'm saying it should have been 3 of them was the red zone touchdown, the red zone attempt rather, where he throws. I know I watched the replay a couple times. I know what he was trying to do, but you don't make that play. You're trying to throw in between 2 defenders to a receiver in the end zone. I know that I've seen quarterbacks do that. That's not a good decision. You ain't all there yet. So that was frustrating. I was like, man, when I watched it live, I was like, man, that's some Cutler stuff right there, and that worries me because he has bad mechanics. Right now he throws when his feet aren't set, and he takes off the run if he doesn't go really through his progressions. And I'm not saying we shouldn't criticize Mr. Trubisky about this, because you should. Because bad mechanics can be coached out of a quarterback. Bad decision making can't. When you try to throw in the coverage and you try to thread the needle in between 2 defenders, and the only reason that isn't a pick is because the only reason it isn't a pick was because it went between somebody's hands. And quite honestly, that was another throw where he threw into coverage and the pass was caught. And I'm forgetting the actual play, but he threw into coverage twice. One time he hit it, one time he didn't. Both would have been horrible, and they were real close to being intercepted. That's going to happen. It just is. You hope that he gets all this stuff out of, what you hope for this season is you hope that he gets all this stuff out of his you hope you get all this stuff out of his system. There you go. For this season. And he's going to throw picks. He's going to do all stupid stuff. And he's going to frustrate everybody. And next year is the year where, okay, you're going to go for the playoffs. I don't see this team winning more than 8 games. I don't. At all. Okay? I don't see this team finishing. Now, after watching the Lions, I think the Bears are better than the Lions. I think, Bears can beat the Lions. Easy. If Matthew Stafford plays like he's been playing, Bears can beat the Lions. I don't see the Bears beating Green Bay once. I don't see the Bears beating the Vikings twice. And I'm a Bears fan, diehard Bears fan. I just don't see it, because when it goes down to who's a better quarterback versus who's a better quarterback, because all the defenses are going to be good in the division, it goes Rodgers, Cousins, and Cousins can throw you out of a game. Stafford and Trubisky. And quite honestly, I think as long as Mr. Trubisky doesn't do much against the Lions, Stafford can definitely throw you out of a game. So I think that Bears will end up finishing 3rd in the division. Wouldn't be surprised if they finish 4th in the division. It doesn't mean, and Trubisky's going to frustrate you. I guarantee you tomorrow morning, when I check out some of the reactions, I guarantee you a lot of media here is going to be like, Mr. Trubisky didn't play well. He's not going to play well. He's not. What you're hoping for is he gets all, like I said earlier, he gets all the stuff out of his system now, and Nagy becomes a really good play caller, and he did this game. It wasn't like he made adjustments, because there was scripted plays last week, and when the scripted plays ran out, Nagy really didn't know how to adjust. There were scripted plays this week, and when the scripted plays this week kind of ran out, and there were things that happened, and there were picks, adjustments were made. This is a developmental season for this offense and this coaching staff. Don't worry about it. There's some situations, like, honestly, when it got to when they got 17-10 and Russ was marching away, I was like, come on, man, the defense needs to excuse me, the defense needs to hold, and the offense needs to play to win. You can't really play conservative here. And when Prince Mukamura got that pick six, I was like, all right, that's it. That's it. That was a perfect jumping route for that pick, and that was a wonderful pick six. Apparently, that was Russell Wilson's second pick six in his entire career. All I need Mr. Trubisky to do is not mess up this season, and everything will be fine. If you're wanting to go to the playoffs, then Mr. Trubisky can't mess up at all. If you really don't care and you realize that, okay, this is a developmental season and we're going to run our stuff and we're going to live and die by this person, then games like today are going to happen offensively where you're going to look at Mr. Trubisky and you're going to be like, what were you doing? Like, there were some things that, like, that double covered pass that was almost a pick. What was he throwing at? The pass where he got in trouble, he spun out of the sack, and he threw it to Tariq Cohen. Yeah, that was cool, but really, that's not a good decision. You throw that away. But that's just what you're going to do. You're going to watch this season. And another thing that I've been seeing on Twitter, and I'm probably going to hear tomorrow, and I heard a little bit today. Here's the thing, too. Like, the reason that Patrick Mahomes had the best arm in that draft class. This is how it went. And I said this before, too. So this is how this went. Basically, in Mr. Trubisky's draft class, you have Deshaun Watson. Matter of fact, let me set it up like this. All those guys came out of college-style spread offenses. All of them. Of the four that got drafted in the first two rounds. Deshaun Watson was in a kind of a spread offense, but they ran pro stuff. He was the most pro ready. He was the oldest one. He had the most game experience. He's the most, that was the consensus best quarterback in that draft. Then you have Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes came out of nowhere. Unless you watch Texas A&M, he wasn't expected to be as high as he was. He rose up draft boards, and that wasn't Kansas City's pick originally. Patrick Mahomes because they didn't expect him to be there, he fell to Kansas City. But he had the best arm. And the thing with Mahomes was in a city year. Mahomes' biggest thing was he going to translate from that offense. The skills were already there. The arm was already there. The accuracy was already there. There was no question mark with him. So the two best quarterbacks coming out of that draft are the two best quarterbacks in that draft that are playing now. Mr. Trubisky was raw. The only other dude that was rawer than him was Deshaun Kaiser. Deshaun Kaiser was 2 years away out of Notre Dame. He was 2 years away. Mr. Trubisky was a season and a half away. You can't look at what Mahomes is doing in a year on the same offense. You had Alex Smith tutoring him, and you had basically the brain trust of Andy Reid guiding this kid for a season. And he has better tools than Mr. Trubisky does. The idea that Mr. Trubisky has better tools than Patrick Mahomes is silly. Patrick Mahomes is more athletic than Mr. Trubisky is. That was a dumb scouting report. Anybody that thinks that is just wrong. No one paid attention. Mr. Trubisky had 13 starts his college career, and some of those starts were inconsistent. And he had a very good, I think it was the Peach Bowl. He had a very good Peach Bowl showing. Okay, he's still a year and a half away, 2 years away. Anything that you see bad, it's just gonna be bad. Do we be critical of him? Yeah, we be critical of him, because there are certain things that you can see, certain things that I see, there are certain things that people see that you're going to be critical at. It's fine. But if you're looking at Patrick Mahomes and you're looking at Deshaun Watson saying the Bears messed up here, or that's going to be like a thing, yeah, it is, because the Bears did a stupid thing by drafting up to get him and giving up picks. But y'all got to understand that you got to give the Bears this season. You got to give Mr. Trubisky this season. Now, next season, if he's doing the same thing, because after the year and a half, I'm expecting like all that developmental stuff to be out of your head and be out of your system. So next season is a season where I'm like, okay, this is the season where I'm expecting you to challenge for a wild card. This is the season that I'm expecting you to challenge for second in the division, if not challenge the Packers. We can be critical of Mr. Trubisky and we can be critical of Matt Nagy, but the sky isn't falling yet. And the Bears scouting, be mad at the Bears scouting, not at Mr. Trubisky, because people told I'm not saying this without being too critical here. Everybody knew Mr. Trubisky was going to, except the Bears, everybody knew Mr. Trubisky was going to be 2 years away. And if you didn't know, you weren't paying attention. So, anyway. But the Bears won. The defense is nuts. I'm actually very happy about how they're using Jordan Howard. And I'm happy that he's not necessarily a threat out the backfield as far as catching the ball, but he can do it. It's not like last year where he was dropping balls and they weren't really into giving him the ball out the backfield. And the reverses that he was the reverses that the Bears were doing. Let me see, get the right person. Let me see. Yeah, I think it was Gabriel. The reverses and the draw plays that Gabriel was running, that's a wrinkle that I haven't seen yet, and I like. So basically, you have 4 running threats. You have Howard, you have Trubisky, even though I don't like it. You have Gabriel, and you have Cohen, and I think that Cohen's going to end up being a receiver more so than a running threat now. I also kind of like the fact that Allen Robinson is their main. Like, we actually have a number one receiver. The number one receiver that they signed is actually going to turn into a number one receiver, and there's rapport with Mitch and Allen Robinson. That's good to see. So yeah, man, I'm excited about the season. I don't really care about whether we win or lose, as far as, unless it's totally stupid, unless it's total, like the Green Bay thing. I was mad because the whole Aaron Rodgers situation and the whole, like, the defense stopped or whatever. But as far as, like, I'm not going to be too critical of the kid because y'all picked the raw project. It's just like me getting really super mad at Deshaun Kaiser getting a lot of his bad habits out of his system too. So there are things that I'm going to be critical of Mr. Trubisky of, basically because of not necessarily mechanics, but decisions. Like, there's certain, like, one of the interceptions was he overthrew an under route, and he overthrew an under route, and it was a pick. And then there was his first interception was he went downfield and he underthrew a deep route, and he underthrew a deep route right to the corner, and that was his first one. That's not necessarily you can coach out of, but that's gonna happen. Like, if you look at his mechanics though, with the happy feet, there's a reason why he underthrew that ball. So mechanics can be coached out of, I hope. But bad decision making is where I'm gonna look at, like, okay, what were you seeing? But these bad seeing games and these bad, not necessarily locking on to receivers or not seeing receivers, that's just something that y'all probably gonna have to deal with for a season. And the reason that I'm saying this is other people are gonna be like, Mr. Trubisky's trash. Well, no, it's not good yet, but he's not trash. Just give him a season. If he does this stuff next season, that's a problem. Anyway, I'm out, y'all. See y'all next week. Later.